everyone. How is everyone? Hi! Welcome to you Sunday. Yeah, I'm really also nervous, but whatever. Take that away. Okay, so, hey, you guys in the front, quiet down. Okay. So when they first told me when I was going to be preaching, and, I was really scared and I had no idea what I was going to talk about. And, I was really thinking and I was praying, and when me and Mel were meeting, we both got, "Are you ready?" And you know how vague that is, and you really don't understand, there's so many things in the Bible that could be, "Are you ready?" Like, are you ready for a second coming? Are you ready for, the wars? Are you ready to lead? And, we really didn't know what God was telling us, and at first it was really discouraging for me personally, because I was like, "God, what do you want us to talk about? Are you ready? But what are we ready for? What are we supposed to prepare for?" And we were praying, and we both got, "Are you ready for the harvest? Are you ready to harvest?" And that's one thing that I'm going to be talking about this morning, and it's been really speaking to me. And a lot of you guys know the parable of the sower, and that when I was younger, we would always read it in Sunday school, and I was like, yeah, if you plant it in the bad soil, it won't grow, it'll die, and if it goes into good soil, it'll multiply. And there's so many meanings and everything, and I really never thought about it until I was studying it a couple weeks ago, and it really spoke to me because, I really based my life off of it. And yeah, so if we want to open up to Matthew 13. So everyone knows what a parable is, right? It's a story that Jesus told to little kids and to his disciples, that it was a story that really, it didn't show what the meaning was. You had to think a little about it and decipher it on your own and how you wanted to, feel it and everything. So we're going to read Matthew 13. We're going to skip down to verse 2. It says, "Large crowds gathered around him, so he got in a boat and sat down while the people stood on the shore. Then Jesus used stories to teach them many things. He said, a farmer went out to plant his seed. While he was planting, some seed fell by the road, and the birds came and ate it all up. Some seed fell on rocky ground where there wasn't much dirt. That seed grew very fast because the ground was not deep. But when the sun rose, the plants dried up because they did not have deep roots. Some other seed fell among thorny weeds, which grew and choked the good plants. Some other seed fell on good ground, where it grew and produced a crop. Some plants made 100 times more, some made 60 times more, and some made 30 times more. Let those with ears use them and listen." When I was younger, I always thought, it was just about a farmer planting and everything, and I really had no idea what it really meant. And I'm gonna, through this, we're gonna look and see, how we should harvest our city. So if we skip down to verse 5, it says, "Some seed fell on rocky ground where there wasn't much dirt. That seed grew very fast because the ground was not deep. But when the sun rose, the plants dried up because they did not have deep roots." To me, that thinks it's like those early Christian days where, you just start beginning your walk, and you're really just on fire, and that's sometimes how I feel after retreats, and I'm just so on fire for God. I'm like, yes, I want to tell everyone about Jesus. And slowly that dies, and sometimes it's because the roots, they aren't deep enough. You didn't really, it's like a foundation. You need that deep, strong foundation so that you won't die when those troubles come. And it's so hard to take you off your feet because your foundation and your roots are so deep. It's
That's
like
right.
when you pull those weeds out of the ground, and it's just so hard because their roots are dig down deep.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Okay, so then we're going to skip down to verse 7. It says, some other seed fell among thorny weeds, which grew and choked the good plants. And this, good plants, I think, resembles, like people who just love Jesus and, they've been a Christian. And, but then the world comes in and, it takes over and the good plants just give in and everything and the world kills us. And sometimes that happens again, because the roots and the ground and your foundation was not firm enough. But I know this doesn't look like, oh my gosh, this story sounds very, like when does the good happen? And if you skip down to verse 8, this is where it gets brighter and where, there is hope. Okay, so verse 8, some other seed fell on good ground, and where it grew and produced a crop. Some plants made 100 times more. Some made 60 times more, and some made 30 times more. When you have that good ground, and that good soil, and that good foundation, and those good roots, you will produce, and you will multiply, and come into an abundance. You really need to dig down deep your roots, so that when those thorny weeds and those, the sun rises, you won't die, and you have to have that strong foundation.
Amen.
And Jesus was a huge farmer. I mean, not physically, but, planting in those seeds into, when he would give those little kids time, when everyone would say, no, you don't have time for the kids, but he said, I do. And he came and he would just spending time and loving on those kids. He's planted that seed in them so that, they remember, yeah, Jesus always made time for me. And so that when they grow up, they will have time for other kids, giving and loving on them. And planting that seed into his disciples so that his disciples would arise their generation. I mean, that's weird because the generation is like way, way, way back, but they arose in their generation. And maybe I'm the only one, but I think it's time that Reading needs some seeds in them.
Amen.
And maybe I'm the only one in this church that thinks it's time for us as a church to get out of these four walls and go and plant them.
Amen.
We know what we have in us, and we have it, and we're holding it all in. We need to get out, break down these walls, and go out and seed into those kids, seed into those youth, seed into this generation. And we will just grow and multiply like those good seeds with the good foundation. And we will have an abundance so that this whole city will harvest the country. And the country, I know I'm thinking really big right now, but I see it. I see our country leading. Our country, once we multiply, we can lead the nations. All of
Amen.
the nations. I'm thinking big, but God is
That's right.
bigger. Come on. So, I'm really challenging you this morning to break out of your shell and go seed into Reading and seed into your own towns. And, we can do this as a nation and dig our roots down deep.
Amen. Amen.